And it seemed to me over the years that this understanding of tradition and story and narrative gave a focus to what we are really attempting to do when we talk about the Gospels and the tradition of the church. What is true for each Gospel pertains also for the canonical collection. Therefore, it is a basic misconstrual of the material when one seeks to reconstruct from the fourfold collection of the Gospels a life of Jesus, either by addition of the parts into a complete harmony, or the subtraction and critically sifting of the evidence in order to discover the real Jesus behind the levels of accretion. But if the unity does not consist in simply combining the four Gospels into a harmonious whole, nor in a biographical substratum behind the text, wherein does it lie? I would like to argue the case that the question of the unity of the Gospels is closely related to the formation of the New Testament canon. And the failure to regard the peculiar form in which the canon has structured the material lies at the heart of many of the misconstruals of its unity. The canon has preserved four distinct literary entities, which are similarly entitled as bearing witness to the one Gospel. The striking characteristic of the collection of the four Gospels is that this combining of sources, that is to say the separate Gospels, has not happened. In terms of the canonical collection, each Gospel retains its discrete integrity. None is subordinated to another, either literarily or historically. Even though modern scholarship has painstakingly established the degree of overlap among the Gospels and even determined with a high degree of probability the literary priority of Mark's Gospel, these critical judgments are not reflected in the present form of the canonical shape. No one Gospel is made the hermeneutical key, as would have happened, for example, had John's Gospel been constructed into an overarching framework and the three synoptics inserted in its story. Interestingly enough, the well-known tradition preserved in the Acta Timothei, the Acts of Timothy, interpreted the formation of the fourfold collection as if the history had happened just in this way. Accordingly, all the disciples gave their material to John, who wrote, as it were, the official gospel for them all. But this tradition is apocryphal and not sustained by the present canonical form of the Gospels. The individual Gospels have not been reworked through the canonical process in such a way as to establish for the reader signs which indicate the interrelatedness of the various Gospels. Therefore, in spite of the large amount of common material, both in form and content, shared by the evangelists, the major formal sign of canonical shaping of the collection is the juxtaposition of four books with titles which introduce the books as witnesses to the one Gospel. But then wherein does the unity of the fourfold Gospel collection lie according to the canonical shape? The unique feature of the Gospel shape is that the unity is asserted but never established in a fixed literary form. According to the canonical shape, the unity must be determined from reading the four, but no one definitive entrance, either literary, historical, or theological, has been established by the shape of the canonical text. Fluidity is therefore constitutive of the canonical shape of the corpus. The basic error of the traditional harmony was the assumption that the canonical process had been deficient in leaving the Gospels in their plural form rather than completing the process by fusing them in a fixed authoritative interpretation. Because this development did not take place within the canonical process, in fact, it was flatly rejected, the plural form remains constitutive of the canonical shape. Conversely, the basic error of the critical position was the assumption that the canonical shape was of no exegetical significance and that valid interpretation depended upon a critical reconstruction which realigned the Gospels in their original historical sequence. As a result, both from the right and from the left, The canonical shaping of the fourfold Gospels has been disregarded, which in my judgment is one of the major reasons for the present impasse. The theological implications of the canonical shaping are highly significant. The unity of the one Gospel lies within its fourfold witness, but each new generation of readers is challenged to discern this unity. Nowhere is it presupposed that the one correct interpretation lies hidden, waiting the day to be finally uncovered. Rather, the richness of the witness to the gospel is that each new reading challenges its hearers to reflect theologically on its testimony to the one Lord.